So to everyone's surprise, we got jump scared by the Forever Equipped summon, which means it's time to update the list on what to use your Forever Equipped summons on. We only have access to seasonal equips and true weapons. Anything from a crossover will not be included within the Forever Equipped summon, since those are only obtainable during their specific crossover periods. Let's talk about the support type equips, which are going to be the thing that usually makes or breaks most of your team comps. Forte's Gothic Straps. This gives you 30 art gauge to human allies, and human allies get 40% damage. Also take note of the reason why this is so good. We have a very low cooldown here, a AoE arch gen buff of 30 burst arts, and a 40% damage. To be honest, this would already be pretty high value if it was just a 30-second cooldown and 30 art gauge. So if you ever see something that's like about 35 seconds or less with a burst or overtime art gauge, it's usually pretty good. Another one that's incredible is going to be Liza Smart Skirt. This allows you to not only just arch gen overtime for the entire team, but it pretty much gives you a heal. Anytime you see increase all stats by 20%, it also means that it's going to heal you, since increasing your max HP will also increase your current HP. Sestina's Sandy Blossom. As you see, this gives you just a flat 50 art gauge, and it autofills your arts by 2 for 25 seconds. Of course, you can't only just use this in your new compositions, you will have to use other support items as well, but having this on your team will definitely help you out. Next, let's talk about heal items, and for heal items, it's not too many that are going to be insane here. Feet of Devil Wings. This gives you a 35% all stats buff. 35% all stats buff, just like how it was on Liza Smart Skirt, will increase your max HP by 35%, but at the same time of it increasing your max HP, it heals you as well. One thing I will note is that this item, buffing up all your stats, will not give you another all stats buff if you're using something like Smart Skirt. Only one can be applied at a time. And there is one more heal item here that is kind of like a runner-up. It's not really like you need to get this. It's going to be the Jolly Baku doll. This is very situational, but it heals disease. It's like one of the only equips in the game that can heal disease. There's another set of items that are almost just as impactful, if not more impactful than support items, and that is going to be our defense items. Let's look at Little Red Riding Mirror first. There's this DR for all damage. We also get fire damage up, and we get burn res 100% for 20 seconds. And you see here the cooldown time is 30 seconds. If we're able to find an equip that's on a 30-second cooldown with a 20-second uptime, that is insanely valuable. Also, if it's able to provide us with something like a status element resistance, like for example burn res, is also insanely good. There are so many in-game fights where you fight a boss and you don't want to get burned, or if they burn you, they deal insane amounts of damage to you, and this having burn res adds another level of protection that we desperately need. Cess's Wavy Frill. This reduces all allies magic damage taken by 20% and increase freeze res by 100% for 30 seconds. But look, this one's on a 40-second cooldown. However, do you see the 10-second disparity here? That is still insanely good. Sure, it has a longer cooldown, but it's up for just as long as the other one. If we're looking into regular just damage mitigation items, though, there's a few here that are pretty solid. We have Iris's Roly Frill Bikini. We have Red Nose Roydol, which is just like the Iris Frilly Bikini. So this one's going to be mitigating damage and water damage, but on a bit longer of a duration, giving you 20 seconds of a duration plus a 30-second cooldown timer. Next to the magic and physical slots, what we're looking for here can be anything from art gauge to more nuking potential or whatever. Like Victor's Cat Suit. This is a very strong 5-star magic that gives you 30 art gauge and 60% magic damage. The biggest weakness of this equip is that for physical attackers that have a magic slot, this item isn't that great. But we also have something like Rivy Stunner. Rivy Stunner gives you 70% crit damage and 70 art gauge on the first time you use it. This is universal. It can be used with magic or physical attackers. We also have Super Dowser, which isn't as good as Rivy Stunner because it doesn't give you the art gauge, but if you are just focusing on damage and nothing else, then Super Dowser is going to be able to give you a 100% crit damage up. Roughhousing is another great magic item for anybody out there. Gives you 50 attack, and if you're not in stats element, you get 50 art gauge. Charlotte's Pure Ruffles. This gives us fire res 20%, but it is a stackable debuff, meaning that it works alongside any other fire res down. And let's not forget about Luan's Shady Canopy here, giving us 60% dark res down. And last but not least, let's talk about the physical items. Just like the magic items, we're going to be focusing on anything here that's giving us some type of arch gen or something that's giving us a massive damage buff. And of course, break equips. We can't forget about them too. For buffing up damage, we can go with stuff like Rishley's Sunset Bikini, giving us an increased damage to enemy by 30%. It's actually still the only damage res down item we have for physical. Another item that we can use for quote-unquote damage, but is mainly used more so for wave clearing, is Orvale's Sunny Trunks. This is one of the fastest equip animations in the game. If you're speedrunning or you just want to make some of your runs faster, being able to have this equip not only gives you a massive attack buff, but just instantly clears most mob waves. Can't forget about Luan's Wabi Sabi Jams. If you're looking at arch-tuning equips, most of the ones you can get are going to be from true weapons like True Izanagi and stuff like that, but you can opt in for something like Valerie's Sentimental Skirt, which does give you 30 arts whenever you use it on a 30-second cooldown, which isn't too bad. These items aren't really like the best of the best when it comes to arch tuning, since most good art gauge items for physical are either true weapons like I mentioned before, or tied behind crossover equips. And last but not least, let's talk about the break items we have here. The main one that we need to talk about is Duke the Legendary. Gives you either more damage or more break power if the enemy is or isn't in break. And unfortunately, that's pretty much it. The only other break item that I would recommend that's on this list would be a true weapon, which is just Platina's true weapon. And like I said, I kind of want to steer away from that because I just think it's kind of a waste to use a forever equipped summon on a true weapon. You may have noticed though, whenever I was talking about the physical and magic equips, and specifically talking about the damage equips, I wasn't really talking about their cooldown at all, because it doesn't really matter if you're using a damage buffing equip. In most situations, you're using it for nukes or burst phases. Of course, you probably don't want the cooldown to be longer than like maybe 60 seconds on most of those. Arch-gen equips, it does matter. You kind of want the sweet spot. The sweet spot for most arch-gen equips are like 30 to 45 seconds. If it's in there and it gives you quite a bit of arc gauge, it's probably a pretty good equip. But ladies and gentlemen, those are all the equips that I recommend going for this time around. Tell me down below, is there any item that I didn't mention that you're going to be going for or you're really looking out for? As for me, I think I'm going to try to see if I can get Rushley's Bikini finally. That thing has been eluding me ever since it came out. Of course, if this is your first time ever doing a forever equip summon, I recommend you guys do make a list of like a bunch of equips that you really want. So if you see one pop up, you can instantly go for it. And if you're only trying to snipe one equip, the likelihood of you getting it is actually kind of low. So it's always good to go into this with a few different options and just one, so you don't get absolutely destroyed. Either way though, fam, thank you all again so much for hanging out. If you enjoyed this video, check out this video right here. It's talking about the brand new Emperor that came out in JP. The man's kind of broken. If you want to know more about that, I'll meet you over there. Oh, but one more thing before you leave, don't forget to drink water.